Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the New Slang podcast. This week we're with Texas singer-songwriter John Baumann, not to be confused with the Led Zeppelin drummer John Baumann. Anyways, a couple of months back, I guess we met up on a Saturday morning. Both of us were nursing hangovers from the night before because John had played Blue Light. Anyways, we had I guess probably about a 40-minute conversation, and then he was having to drive up to Amarillo. Anyways, if this is your first time listening, I'd highly encourage you to go and check out the debut podcast episode. It's with Evan Felker and R.C. Edwards of Turnpike Troubadours. That one's about like an hour long. On it, Evan plays this new song called Mockingbird. We talk about a lot of music stuff. We go a little bit into the whole Steamboat stuff. Anyways, check that out. This week's episode is sponsored by the Blue Light. They're the epicenter of what we all call panhandle music. Just all these different songwriters who have come up through the Blue Light, essentially. I was up there last night hanging out with Jerry Serrano, who's the new host of Songwriter Night. And, he's up there playing his new songs, and, he's got his keyboard out there now. Usually there's a lot of guys playing guitar, but, he'll set up his keyboards up there, and every once in a while he'll bring his trumpet and play along with some people. This is a place, Songwriter Night is just a place where guys like Dalton Domino and Clodo Cordero of Flatland Cavalry and Randall King, and you can go back to Brandon Adams and Kenneth O'Meara and Red Shahan all playing their music there, and you really don't know who's going to show up. And there's obviously a lot of new guys that you've never heard of before, but then every once in a while there will be somebody that you have that just happen to stop by. Just the best place to see live and original music here in Lubbock. Much like most weekends, this weekend right here is a pretty stacked one. You can get started on Thursdays going up there and listening to the O's play. Friday is Mike and the Moon Pies, and Dolly Shine and Randall King are going to be playing Saturday. Dolly Shine's been working on a new record called Walkabout, so I'm sure there's going to be playing a whole lot of new songs from that. I'm also pretty sure that we will be probably giving away some tickets to probably every one of those shows this weekend. You can find us on Twitter at newslang_LBK, that's probably where we'll be giving away some tickets to the Blue Light this weekend. So be sure to follow us on that. All right, now on to the John Baumann conversation. I tweeted yesterday, whenever you were playing, was about how, I guess in the late 2000s, or the entire 2000s, a lot of people started doing this, Robert O'Keefe, Jerry Jeff Walker kind of talking nasally croon thing. And in my opinion, it came off really, really fake. Mm-hmm. You've kind of have this natural kind of just tone in your voice, that Texan drawl. I guess where'd that come from?
Yeah, my sister used to give me hell about, she'd always say I sang kind of nasally, and it kind of drove me nuts when I was kind of playing guitar in the beginning. I'm the first to tell people I don't have a beautiful voice. I'm not going to go on American Idol. I wouldn't go on there if somebody pushed me into it. It's not me. I'm from Amarillo, Texas, so maybe there's a little bit of a drawl there, but man, I'm pretty much a San Antonio product in terms of the culture I was raised in, and it's funny to hear, people from different parts of Texas have different drawls, and that's just kind of what is original and authentic to me. That's just my voice, just kind of what it is.
Yeah, that's what I've always thought when I've heard you is that it's a genuine thing. It's not you can tell it's your talking voice and your vocals are you can tell that they're one and the same. It's not that you're trying to do something else. But I think it's such a weird thing that in the 2000s, there's a whole bunch of people who were, trying to sound like Randy Rogers, in that kind of that nasally, vocal take, which it turned out to be a little bit like on the whiny side, right? In my opinion.
Yeah, I think people, especially for songwriters, you just need to do what you do, and you need to sing your songs. And, I hope I come across as authentic, but I'm not going to sit down and write a song unless it's something I'm excited about or something I believe in or something that's happened to me. It's impossible for me to put myself in a situation where I have to fabricate a song. I just can't do it. So somebody has told me before that, you sing the way you talk. And I think it's a compliment, but I got to admit, I hear guys that have killer voices. And there is some, I don't want to say jealousy, but, maybe a little bit, a little bit of envy. Just, I wish I could deliver it, but the truth is I am who I am, and that's the way it's going to come out.
Mm-hmm. I think like you write the way you talk.
Yeah.
Which is this like expansive vocabulary.
Thank you.
That not a lot of people want to even try doing, because it doesn't I think a lot of people, they don't give like the audience enough credit for being, I guess like not smart enough necessarily, but that they don't think that, that people want to hear, not necessarily big $5 words,
sure,
but at least varied vocabulary,
Yeah, it's really funny in this business, especially trying to come up in the music business. And a lot of the venues you play, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of bubblegum people out there, and there's a lot of people who want bubblegum stuff. And I'm losing my train of thought. It was a long night. Yeah, vocabulary is so important to me, and it's good to know that there's people out there that do kind of feed off of it. But I love words. I love language. I'm the kind of guy who will hear a word that he doesn't know, and he'll look it up immediately, and he'll say it over to himself a couple times. But it's fun. It's a growth kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Were your parents like one of those the parents who had like the word of the day taped to the mirror kind of thing?
Not so much, but my sisters and I are all guilty of this. We sometimes use a word out of context, and my father would always call us out on it. And we'd always say, that's, something like, that's so random, and he'd be like, that is not the right use of that word. Mm-hmm. We grew up in a house of books and lots of reading. My father was a good man. He read to us every night. That was a good thing. But, language, words, it's just kind of the culture around our house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, you're originally from Amarillo, right? You're born there?
Born there, yep. Yeah. Lived there till I was 4 years old. And then my father, he ran for district attorney in Amarillo, Texas, and he lost to, I think, a guy named Danny White. He was running as a Democrat, so Bible Belt. Mm-hmm. That first stanza of that song is that really happened. He lost the election by 11 votes and got a job in San Antonio, and we moved to San Antonio when I was 4 or 5 years old. So,
mm-hmm. What was it, though, that, like, pushed you back here as far as, like, writing about the area in a lot of ways?
Yeah, I came back here for community college, go to South Plains. I kind of embellished the story a little bit, but I had a girl, followed her up here, and kind of got a taste in my mouth of just what geography is very cool, but I hate to say bleak, but as bleak as this part of the world can seem sometimes, there is a incredible beauty to it. I don't know if it's the sky or the way the clouds look like, to borrow your Kennedy phrase, vapor trails or whatever. But there's a real rugged beauty to it here. And so many great musicians and songwriters and storytellers come from this part of the world. And I don't know if it's from boredom or if it's from inspiration in the landscape, but all of that was kind of a platform that I could build upon and was excited to build upon when I was first getting started writing songs.
It's very, I guess, like it's a romanticized tale of, like, being from Lubbock and being a songwriter kind of thing, like.
It really is. It's become a thing. It's like almost like chic, you know?
Yeah.
It really is.
It's just, I don't know, it's weird. Because there for a while, like, I feel, there for a while that it was, it wasn't necessarily like a dead time here, but like just wasn't like talked about in the rest of the state, I felt, as far as musicians and bands go. And now all of a sudden it's back on, you know, it's rising, and now we're talking about old guys in ways that, you know, we didn't before. Like now all of a sudden, you know, people are familiar with the Maines Brothers and the Flatlanders in more ways than just, oh, I've heard of that band. Like they're more familiar with just even the music, you know? Like whenever you started writing songs, like, I think like that first EP, especially, and it goes back to the whole vocabulary thing. You're kind of a wordy writer. It felt like very much, I've compared it to like the early Springsteen of just like, you know, putting a whole lot of stuff in a short period of time. You've kind of like backed off that in a way, like especially on this Departures. What is it about, like, you know, learning to, I guess maybe slow down, control yourself, don't like throw everything in at once? What how'd you start, I guess, evolving?
You know, I think that's a battle I'm still fighting. It was just yesterday we were in the van, and I came home. We played Saxon Pub in Austin on Thursday night, and I drove home from that show, and I was thinking, you know, just had some song ideas running through my head, and anyways, long story short, we wrote a song in the van yesterday. It was a cool thing, but as I was writing it, we ran at a sound check last night, and man, I was shoving so many words into phrases, and it kind of felt like getting back into the old habits. It's a real battle for me because there's a lot I want to say, and I think every word is important. But in terms of the evolving with Departures, I think it was important to, I don't know, you know, it's good to be a little more concise. It's a battle I'm going to fight for as long as I'm doing this. It really is. It's just there's a lot I want to say. It's hard to control.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand. I feel like that's a very understandable thing.
Yeah, it's like a writer issue.
Trying to put in like, no, I need to say more about this.
Yeah.
You know? Departures though, like it's this. I feel like it's going to be like one of those stepping stone EPs for you. I feel like people will turn their heads even more, especially with like Vices. That was a very kind of Guitar Town moment for you as far as like sound and being an anthem in a way. You know, I feel like there's a little bit more anthem stuff kind of on this.
I think you're right. And a lot of it, I got to give credit to my producer, Justin Pollard. He kind of coached me up on a lot of those songs, not with the writing, but just in terms of the phrasing and the tone and, you know, doing the vocal take as many times as we needed to get a good one. But, yeah, I think I appreciate that. I think Vices is a little bit anthem-y, and the more I listen to songs, I start to hear other anthem-y type songs, and I want to kind of go that direction, like North Country Zone, for instance. That's kind of in that wheelhouse. So, yeah.
Well, I think like Bay City Blues is even in a way, not anthem-y, like in the, you know, Heartland country or a Heartland rock kind of Born to Run kind of way, but it is very much it captures a certain voice, a certain thought that a lot of people have.
Right on. You know, and even in that song, I feel like I'm shoving some words in. Maybe on the chorus, you know, the rent calls for ransom. There's a lot going on there, but I guess it works. But you know, back to the production, I think that really helped alleviate a lot of the desire to kind of shove words in and things like that.
So, like, what do you have coming up next? Like, what are you kind of what's your next thing that you're looking forward to?
I'm always writing, you know. I think every songwriter in the modern era has a iPhone or whatever, a notepad where they've got all their song ideas listed, and mine's 150 deep right now, kind of half finished ideas, but the next natural step is a full length record, and that's been a little bit of a funny spot for me. I'm a guy with 2 EPs and 1 full length, and I would argue that my full length, the High Plains Alchemy record, I really only like 4 or 5 songs off that record. But naturally, the next thing is a full length record, and it's really got to be my best. It's an important time for me to really deliver the goods, and I'm really pushing myself to do that, and not so much in just what I'm talking about, but how the songs are sung. So many songs in country music, they're G, D, E minor, C, they're 1-4, 1-4, 1-4. If you know Nashville charts or whatever, but it's important for the phrasing to lift and to really carry. So I'm really kind of pushing myself, but I'm not gonna get in bed on a project until I'm like surefire 100% confident. But I think I'm close. I think it'll be recorded in the next couple months, but got to do some work. And I'm realizing it's hard with the road right now. We're not touring per se, but we're doing runs. 3 days at a time. And after 3 days of this, boy, Monday and Tuesday I get home and I need to sleep. So I'm trying to find a new balance here with how the work ethic works with the touring or the gigs.
Yeah, like how do you even start like that 150 song idea list, or like how do you start even going in there and knowing like what idea, like are you afraid that that one of them just like slips by and you don't realize you had it until, God damn it, like I wish I would have done something more with that?
It's funny with the songs. So much of the time I'll have like a line and I'll just be like, man, this is so killer. This is creative. This is hilarious. Nobody's doing this, but it's really hard to get past that first or second line. It's a tough thing, and that's why there's so many unfinished songs. A lot of times I'll finish a song and I'll send it. I've got a couple guys helping me. Justin, one of the guys who produced that record, he's managing, if you will. I send him a lot of stuff. And his partner, John Baumann, I send them a lot of stuff. And, sometimes they send something back and sometimes they say nothing at all. And it's kind of like, all right, well, maybe that's not a good idea. But to somebody else, it's a good idea. So it's a funny little kind of situation with what do I believe in? What does the team believe in? And then what do the people believe in terms of a fresh song idea and things like that. So I don't know. Sometimes it hits and it's magic. And sometimes it's like, go back to the drawing board.
What last night you mentioned, you're going to be on this Pat Green tribute compilation. Yeah. Well, how'd you get involved with that? And like, how did you pick through his songs and decide?
Yeah. So, it wasn't really my choice on the song, and it was really a stroke of luck. And, it's not officially that we're not supposed to say that we're on it, but I kind of plugged it on Twitter a week ago saying we're in studio today doing a tribute song, and I was so excited, man. I wanted to scream it from the rooftops that I was doing this, but kind of for, I guess, public relations or whatever, kind of had to hit the brakes. But they're doing a Pat Green tribute album, and I think Cody Johnson, Kyle Park, Corey Moore, Walt Wilkins are all on it. And Justin, back to him, kind of said, hey, man, bring your guys in. Let's cut a song. Let's cut Nightmare. And, for diehard Pat fans, Nightmare is one of those songs that harkens back to the early days. And you can go on YouTube or Spotify and listen to the live versions, and people are going crazy. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. So I was so honored that, he asked us if we wanted to do it. So we did it and kind of made it our own. And, oddly enough, it's the only studio version of that song. So it's really, really cool for me, especially as a guy who would go see Pat Green at 13, 14 years old and hear him play this song and just think, man, this is a gut wrencher. So even if Pat doesn't like it, I might have to take it for my next record anyways, because we did a pretty good job on it, I have to say.
Those early, like, it's one of those things where like everyone always says, I like who blah blah blah, but I liked his first stuff better. Oh yeah. But in reality, like if you listen to those first Pat Green records, the ones that are all produced by like Lloyd Maines, those records, I think are underrated just by average fans, and I think it that may be because they came out, I guess, like 15, 20 years ago now, but those first records are just incredible.
It's so funny how an artist in their early years, they can kind of, in a weird way, I haven't fully figured this out yet for myself, and I wonder if I'm going through it, but in a weird way, when they're young and naive, they kind of don't know everything, and they don't think everything through, and sometimes they just spit out stuff, and it's magic. And they kind of don't know what's happening maybe at the time. And maybe that's what was happening with Pat. Now, Pat's thing, I think, eventually started spreading like wildfire, and people look back, and those were the glory days and whatnot. But and a lot of it's the production of a good producer. You know, Lloyd Maines is not gonna make a bad record. But yeah, there's something about the beginning and the early years and the naivety of this whole thing. You can really make some beautiful stuff, accidentally.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where you, it's maybe you're too naive, you're too dumb to know any better.
Yeah.
And also, though, I think it's also just sometimes, when you first start out, you actually have something to say, and you have not just one thing to say. You have, 3 records worth of things to say that you need to get out, and sometimes those just hit.
It's amazing with writing a song. Sometimes, like, it'll just come out, and it's great. The song I wrote, Midland, I had a huge chip on my shoulder, and I still kind of do in a way. But that song came out in 20 minutes, and I played an open mic in Austin, and the crowd response was so positive that I was just completely jacked, and it came out quickly. And then here we are a few years later, and it takes some time to write a song now. So
yeah, I can imagine. Like, what right now? Like, what's the song that has taken the longest to actually finish?
Oh, that's a really good question. There's a lot of songs I'm working on right now that I feel like are going to take some time, but I'm really pushing myself. I guess off Departures, maybe, Departures all came out kind of quick, actually, because it was just like, we got to get a project out. The song Medicine Man, I wrote those first 2 verses, and then I had the chorus, and then I was like, I have nothing else to say about this situation, so I just the last 2 verses kind of slapped together. That one took some time, but, in hindsight, Departures was a pretty quick write. I was kind of under some pressure to get something out.
Are you ever worried, like, you have this idea, you write, and you maybe get like a verse, chorus out or something like that, and you don't know how to finish it? Are you worried ever that it's going to take too long and that original idea, that original thought is not what you think now? Like that you're just not able, that it's just going to be a lost moment?
Yeah, there is some worry, and a lot of those ideas that don't come in fruition, they just kind of linger forever. And it's so funny, you'll have a conversation with somebody and they'll say a phrase that you used in a song or you were thinking about, and it's kind of a bummer, realizing, oh man, I've got this idea, but I just can't get over the hump. So yeah, there is some worry, but the good thing about this is there's always another line or another idea out there. It's just a matter of, does it hit you kind of at that magic moment?
If you had like a live show and they were like, John, we want you to play your favorite record just in a row, like all at once.
Yeah. Like cover songs or something?
Yeah, like if you're just going to cover an album, though.
Oh, that's great.
Like a full length. What would be on that list, at least of like that you would want to even attempt?
I would love to be able to recreate as best I could T-Bone Burnett's Wallflowers, Bringing Down the Horse. I mean, that is, in some ways, that feels like the original Americana album. Pardon me for not knowing as much music as I should, but that album is so well done, and I know every song on there lyrically. The band and I we were covering The Difference for a while, but it was just hard for me to deliver the the chorus because it's so big,
Mm-hmm.
and we can play it. I don't know if I do Jacob Dylan any justice singing it, but bringing down the horse, cover to cover, song to song would be it.
Mm-hmm. I think like what year did that come out? Like 90?
I want to say 97 or 96.
Yeah.
I could be off.
I still think like the Wallflowers is in that time where, it's one of those where, now you can just access music and get in anybody's discography at once. That's still like a time where whatever CD you had just like kind of became your favorite CD of theirs. So, I'm in the minority. I'm always just like Rebel Sweetheart is my favorite, just
right
because
on.
like that's the record I had forever.
Right
Underrated band though.
Yeah, kind of a funny little history with them. It's one thing to be Bob Dylan's son, and then to be the frontman for this band. And I can't remember their first CD. It had Ashes to Ashes on it, and they kind of had some changing parts in the band. But when one headlight came out, I remember him with Bruce Springsteen on MTV Music Awards, and I think that was in the day where you could record something to VHS, and I recorded it and watched it over and over again. And just like that CD you had, I would listen to it all the time. And then, if you're the Wallflowers in today's world, and I wonder if it's tough sometimes because you made this masterpiece. And yes, you have Rebel Sweetheart, but it's kind of like that's the apex maybe of where the career trajectory. I don't know. I sound like a fool, but
well, I mean, like I think it all just goes back to just being Bob Dylan's son. You know what I mean? Because I'm not saying that like the Wallflowers isn't a genuine thing, but like you have to know that Jacob Dylan was probably thinking, okay, I'm not going to be a folk songwriter, which obviously now he's doing more singer-songwriter kind of stuff.
Women in country.
But, that at some point though he was like, no, I'm gonna make a rock band.
Yeah.
I can't be a songwriter, like a singer-songwriter kind of thing.
I couldn't imagine being the son of like the most iconic American songwriter, one of, that'd be a really a tough bit of baggage, but I think he did well. I think he's doing well. Mm-hmm. I think his bank account probably looks all right.
Yeah, I'm sure. Have you heard of like one of Dylan's like grandsons is like a rapper? I can't think of his name or anything like this.
I have no idea.
Off
I'm
the top,
shocked, dude.
But it's one of those just like, what? This is he doesn't just go by blah 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 Dylan. I don't know what his name is.
I think I know what the band and I are going to be Googling on the way to Amarillo today. Yeah.
I don't even know if he has an album. You may just have to like go on SoundCloud and find these random.
I wonder what Grandpa thinks of that.
I don't know.
He's probably like, he's doing his thing. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's funny.
I'm sure Dylan's a fan of some hip hop.
I bet he is. I bet he is. I don't know the guy.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure he has like some Kendrick Lamar or some. I don't know. I bet like he's actually a big fan of Jay-Z.
Yeah,
that's where I'd put my money on.
I'm not opposed. I feel like Dylan's coming around. I just saw him in an IBM commercial, that one where he's talking to Watson or whoever the computer is, but it feels like he's coming around. I heard a story, my friend told me that Bob Dylan went to a Bob Dylan museum like disguised as somebody else one time just to like check it out. I don't know, it's weird, but
yeah. There's this I guess like an essay that was done by Todd Snyder about Bob Dylan that he had done for like this magazine. And I don't know how old it is. It's probably like maybe 15 years old, the essay. And it's about like if he was able to meet Bob Dylan, would he? Because he just, he loves Bob Dylan.
Right.
But like Bob Dylan's one of those guys where it's hard to meet the actual Bob Dylan without being
well, the actual Bob Dylan is Robert Zimmerman. It's like, it's just funny how I completely can understand that.
But like it goes into this, like his little essay goes into the whole like, do you want to meet your heroes? Because your heroes are always just going to disappoint you. Mm-hmm. There's that aspect. There's the whole like, are you meeting like the actual Bob Dylan, or are you just meeting like one of these various, characters that he's created, these personas, and then also just like there was like I guess another aspect of it, but he goes into like these stories that his friends have told him about their times meeting Bob Dylan, in which they're really hilarious. Like probably my favorite one is it's like East Nashville. This guy walks out and sees this guy on the street, and he's like, that's got to be Bob Dylan, or that's a hobo. I can't, and he couldn't like tell the difference. So he like kind of like just stood there for about 5-10 minutes watching this guy, and the guy was standing there and like messing with his shoes or something like that, and he finally walks by and he just says, "It's me," and like continues on.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's like you got somebody looking at you trying to figure out. It's like, I know what this guy's thinking. I'm just going to tell him it's me. I heard a story about Steve Martin. Somebody was doing the same thing to Steve Martin, and he just handed him a business card that says, "Yes, you've just met Steve Martin." I would think, though, after so much notoriety and press and fame or critical acclaim or whatever, anonymity is like a beautiful, beautiful thing you never thought you'd want, but it becomes like a prized possession in a weird way.
Yeah, that's like if you become president, you're never going to have a...
Oh, I couldn't imagine. It's amazing how gray they get after 4 or 8 years in office, man. It's just it's tragic in a way.
Yeah, it's so weird, like that they've aged they've aged 20 years in 8 years. You know what I mean? They always show those pictures of Barack, and it's like, man, he had,
he was a young man going into office, and now he's gray and wrinkled. It's just the toll of the job.
Yeah,
it's just rough.
And of course, Clinton now, like you see Clinton on these campaigns with Hillary, and it's like, man, Bill looks, he looks like he.
Old Bill, man. I'm working on a song called "Bad Bill," and it's about Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
I think we'll see if it ever gets finished. It's another kind of one-liner in my iPhone, but there's some comedy there, I think.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Bill Clinton, man, little swinging dick.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, what did you listen to as a kid? Like, what was your just go-to record that you had?
It's funny. Like, I'd always go to like Home Depot or Lowe's with my dad when I was a kid, and he always had like Randy Travis on cassette and George Strait on cassette, and I'd never wanted to go in the store, so I'd just say leave me in the car, and I just listened to those tapes. One of the first CDs I ever bought was the Beatles, just because I thought it was like a cool thing, but I actually like never really liked the record. It was like one of those anthology records. Like I said, the Wallflowers was a big one. I was one of those guys who would like find one song off a record and just love that song and didn't care for it. Like Foo Fighters, like they had the Walking After You song, and it was like the slow country song on that record. I think Everlong was on that record, but I just loved Walking After You because it was just like, it was like Americana country kind of a song. So, but country music, also I listen to like a lot of Matchbox 20 and stuff like that.
I think Matchbox 20 is one of those bands that still a guilty pleasure.
Oh yeah.
I have all 3 CDs just because I keep every CD. Okay, so me and Parker were talking one time. Like what we're talking about, like Pantera. Like what CD was it that like your parents just like you had and they took it away from you because they're like, no, you can't listen to this. Was there anything?
Nah, I really never was into like Linkin Park or Tool or any like heavy stuff. I just wasn't my bag. One thing, this is not music related, but when I was a kid, I thought Tom Green was hilarious. So I'd print Tom Green like transcripts from his skits and things like that. I print them off on the home computer, and I'd just like leave them around the house just because I was lackadaisical, not thinking. My parents would find that stuff and they'd read it and just be like, "What the hell is wrong with this kid?" So there wasn't really a record, but stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so like, what would you? These skits, did you just like read them to yourself, or did you?
I'd see them on TV and think they were so hilarious, and then I'd print them off and I read them, and I thought it was kind of funny. Like, my bum is on your, what is it? My bum is on your hip, or my bum is on your leg.
Yeah, it's like on everything. I forgot about that song. Yeah. That's when like MTV had music videos, and the music video was
it was a real thing. Yeah, it was a relevant thing. Yeah, I guess I'm just a weird teenager, man. I'm just a weird guy.
I think like that's just being a teenager.
Yeah.
You're kind of an idiot for.
Oh, there's no question about it.
One of the. Okay, so this is like one of the things I was talking with Ryan Colwell about one time was, you know, we're from the generation, especially like if your parents weren't like in the art scene, they weren't always taking you to music and stuff. You just were raised on like that top layer of culture.
Ugh.
How was that how it was growing up for you?
Not really. You know, we took a family trip to New York one time, and all I cared about was going to see a Yankees game. And I got two sisters, and they both like theater and stuff like that. And we were going to go see a Broadway show, and I was just livid about it. And I can't remember what we saw, you know, Carousel or something. And man, I walked out of there just like, whoa. You know, live theater is a beautiful, incredible thing. So, you know, we would never go to Disneyland. You know, my parents were always so proud of the fact that we were not a Disneyland vacation type. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we'd go see D.C. and see the monuments and rent an RV and drive on the Pacific Coast Highway. Just, my parents always wanted us to see kind of, and my dad always emphasized remembering what you see and what you do. And, but in terms of music, you know, my parents weren't really like music aficionados, but my dad loved Roy Orbison and things like that. But I just never, I don't know.
Yeah. What is your favorite like dadism that your dad just like always would say?
Oh man, famous last words he'd always say. You know, that was one of them. Just kind of like you say something, you're so confident about it, and then you know all hell breaks loose. And you didn't see it coming, but you should see it coming because things happen. He had a lot of like phrases and things like that. But you know.
Yeah, the one that always sticks in my head about my dad was, anytime we were on vacation, you know, they'd buy me a disposable camera, or like, and he would have a camera, but his obviously had film and shit, and he would I would always just be like, hey, take a photo of that, take a photo of, hey, take a photo of this, and his he wore out the line, oh, you have to wait for a Kodak moment. And I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. Just like, because obviously he's just taking it from the damn commercial, but he's like, oh, you got to wait for a Kodak moment.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the trip or whatever, he'd always just have 10 fucking photos, you know, like nothing like
You're like, Dad, come on, man.
I'd use up that disposable like in one day, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's funny, you know, fathers and sons. It's funny what you glean from them, and it's weird because sometimes you see your dad and you're like, man, I don't want to be that guy. You know, even if he's not a bad guy or anything. And then as you get older, you become that guy in some ways. Not entirely, but kind of a funny thing.
Come on in, Danny.
What's up, man?
hey, this is Danny right here.
What's up, Danny? Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming out. What's the pup's name? Raider. That's an apropos.
Yeah.
Right on. Indiana Jones.
But yeah, we're about like 35 minutes. You want to play a song?
Yeah, I can play a song. I'll see if I can sing.
All right. Hey, just another little quick break for another sponsor of the New Slang podcast. It's Flatland Cavalry's Humble Folks. Yeah, it's their first full-length record. And you know, the very first CD release show for Humble Folks is going to be Friday, April 1st at the Blue Light. That's next weekend. You know, I'm probably going to make everyone jealous by saying this, but I've actually had the record for like 2 weeks now. And, you know, it's really, really, really good. They recorded the record over at Scott Ferris's Amusement Park Studios here in town. And, you know, it's kind of like Come May in the way that it pops. It just pops in the right spots. It sounds great. As they said with Come May, it's easy on the ears, heavy on the heart. In saying that, there are some really, really cool surprises that are going to be on this record. You know, it's a band that we're seeing mature and grow right before our eyes. Like Cleto, told me a few months back, he's not Summertime Love Kid anymore. So he's I guess developed all these different characters and personas that he's going to be able to go into, and hopefully you'll be able to hear that on the record. And next Wednesday you'll have to drop what you're doing and head over to the New Slang website, because we'll be streaming the entire record, all 11 tracks, for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, probably just the entire weekend. If you've not heard of Flatline Cavalry, go and check out their first EP. If you have, be sure to go to newslanglubbock.com and stream the new record whenever we have it out. Believe in the buzz. The hype is real. It's all warranted. And, put a score on the board for the humble folks. Okay, now some more John Baumann.
I'm done drinking. I'll play a song called Goodbye Whiskey. New song. Don't know if it's going to go on a record, but... I ain't had a thing to drink. I know that's a shock to hear, but I wrote off red wine and I burned out on beer. I ain't going to Lenny's Liquor or the Delta Dawn Cantina. I got lemon in my water, Topo Chica, San Pellegrino. I'm done drinking that rum. You won't miss me. Goodbye whiskey. Goodbye whiskey. I figured I had had enough drinking solo in the dark. Too much Jack on Ice, too much Cuddy Sark. I won't even mention the morning, head pounding like a bowling pin. Hell, I even lost some belly fat, got a better complexion. I'm done drinking that rum. You won't miss me. Goodbye whiskey. Goodbye whiskey. You see, I've gone through changes. It might be a coming of age. After some time, it's a simple choice. It's past time to turn a page. It ain't hard to dodge temptation. I don't mind standing tall. Something good about being done with the shakes and quakes. Alcohol, I'm done drinking that rum. You won't miss me. Goodbye whiskey. Yeah, I'm done drinking that rum. You won't miss me. Goodbye whiskey. Goodbye whiskey.